Extensively on this broadcast, foreign governments are buying strategically critical American assets and at an alarming rate. Foreign governments, including Communist China, have launched 20 new investment funds since 2000, holding an estimated $2.5 trillion. A special commission today began hearings specifically on China's role. Christine Romans has our report.
Some governments have a nice problem, as Senator Sherrod Brown puts it.
What to do with all the money earned from their abundance of exports, whether it's from barrels of oil or from barrels of monkeys and other toys.
They are flush with cash. The dollar is weak and the U.S. economy faltering. Those governments are on a buying spree, most recently pumping more than $35 billion into Wall Street banks brought down by bad bets on risky mortgages, but also in private equity and technology. Investments Wall Street and the U.S. government have embraced.
The U.S. economy benefits from foreign investment, including investment from sovereign wealth funds.
But there are concerns about the size, growth, and secrecy of some of these funds.
So many are run by undemocratic governments with powerful strategic objectives.
Senator Kaptur worries foreign governments are buying influence and access to technology.
These deals are presented as purely financial when they are in fact political and strategic.
At issue at this hearing, China's $200 billion fund, ranking among the most secret funds in the world, according to an analysis by Standard Chartered Bank. Chinese central planners understandably want to diversify some of their $1.4 trillion in reserves, most invested in U.S. government debt. But some are worried by widespread complaints of intellectual property theft, currency manipulation, and export subsidies.
China itself is likely to be a government that's likely to have a bad sovereign wealth fund that's not in the interest of the United States, and that tough regulations and oversight are needed now in advance of a problem that has not yet emerged, but given the magnitude of the flow of funds over the next decade, it's going to be a serious one.
By the year 2015, some analysts predict that foreign government sovereign wealth funds could hold $10 to $15 trillion.
The Treasury Department has asked the IMF to draw up a voluntary set of best practices for these funds, but so far finds no reason to believe foreign governments are anything but legitimate long-term investors in the global economy. In fact, when listing the concerns about sovereign wealth funds, top on the list is protectionism in the U.S. as a result of the lack of transparency, something that the Ohio delegation, Congresswoman Kaptur and Senator Brown, don't quite agree with. They don't think it's protectionism to try to know what foreign governments are doing as opposed to foreign companies.
Yeah, I would, this is not a particularly bright or deep or thoughtful administration, whether on economic policy or foreign policy. But one would hope that Secretary Paulson and the rest of this administration would have the sense to listen to Senator Brown, to Senator Dorgan, Congresswoman Kaptur, because they are thoughtful on these issues and frankly so much smarter than anyone that the Bush administration is putting forward on economic policy. I can't imagine why they aren't taking their counsel very seriously. But the idea that the United States government is turning to the International Monetary Fund to set standards for the sovereign wealth, this administration in so doing has basically just said it is incapable through either our Department of the Treasury or our Department of Commerce or certainly the White House to come up with its own standards and regulations for this economy. These people, do they have any concept of what fools they look to be?
I can't speak for them, but I can say that many of the sovereign wealth fund managers have said that they want to make sure those guidelines are voluntary only, that they are not set in stone, that they are voluntary.
We wouldn't want to impose on anyone, American law, for goodness sake. This administration would not have that. That would be unseemly of us, I think. Christine, thank you very much. A very sobering report. Christine Romans. Well, joining me now for